Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 8th of March 2024. In today's newspaper analysis, we are going to cover the editorial articles from the newspaper, and also we are going to cover those articles that are important for the prelims exam. Apart from this, we are also going to talk about a mapping topic, and this mapping topic was mentioned in the newspaper itself, so like we are going to locate that particular location. So let us quickly see the list of articles that we will cover in today's newspaper analysis. So today we are going to cover these articles, right, one by one. And also we are going to cover the places in news, this particular topic, Corbett National Park. We will understand where is Corbett National Park located. We will understand how many national parks do we have in India. And also I am going to share some additional information related to mapping with you. So with this, now let us move to the first topic. Name of this topic is Corbett National Park. So let us see where is Corbett National Park located. Alright. So Corbett National Park is located in the state of Uttarakhand. Which state? Uttarakhand. So Uttarakhand is considered to be one of the Himalayan states, right? It is considered part of Himalayan and northeastern states together. Alright. So this is the location of Corbett National Park, and it is located in the state of Uttarakhand. So today we are going to discuss about, let's say, why Corbett National Park is in news. There is a news article also related to this, and we are going to understand about other national parks that is located, let's say, in India. So basically Corbett National Park is in news because recently the Supreme Court of India has, let's say, given directions, right? It has given direction to the central government, it has given direction to the Union Ministry, right, of Forest and Climate Change. So that is known as Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, right? Why? Because recently it has been noticed by Supreme Court of India that around 6,000 trees were cut, 6,000 trees were felled in the Corbett National Park, and this was done in collusion between a minister, between a high-level minister and forest officials. Means like there was a nexus between them in felling so many trees. So Supreme Court of India has, let's say, directed that the compensation for felling these 6,000 trees will be recovered from these people who were involved in this activity. And apart from this, it has given guidelines to the Union Ministry of Finance to form let's say, group of experts, or form a expert group that will comprise of let's say, people from the National Tiger Conservation Authority, the Forest Survey of India, and various other departments. Okay, so that is going to draft a clear-cut guidelines whether forest safaris must be allowed and up to what extent it should be allowed. Okay, so this is the thing. Apart from this, we are going to look into another mapping topic. So all right. So this is going to be another mapping topic. All right. So here again, let us see where is Corbett National Park located. Okay, where is Corbett National Park located? So this is the location of Corbett National Park, and this Corbett National Park is located in the state of Uttarakhand, and this is also a tiger reserve. Means tigers are given proper protection in the Corbett National Park. Okay. But the thing is, because of safari project, right, because of safari project, what they are doing, they have already felled around 6,000 trees in the Corbett National Park. That has raised alarm related to forest conservation and also tiger related aspects. So here in this map that you can see, the smaller map here, basically it lists down the number, the tiger, the national parks in India. So how many national parks in India do we have? A total of 106 national parks we have. Okay, so this is also mentioned in one of the website that is being maintained by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Okay, so 106 national parks are there in India, and so here, let's say, over here they have, what they have done, they have listed some of the important national parks state-wise. For example, here they have, let's say, Ladakh, so they have mentioned Hemis National Park. So color coding has been done, and this is the state of Uttarakhand, okay, 6th number, which is Uttarakhand, Corbett National Park, and here Gangotri, Govind, Nanda Devi, Rajaji, and Valley of Flowers national parks are located in the state of Uttarakhand. Okay, so Uttarakhand 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 national parks are located in the state of Uttarakhand itself. If you go through this particular map, you will get to know in which state how many national parks are located, because like all these states are color coded, right? You can get to know in which state how many national parks are located. So that will help you to gather some information, gather some data for the prelims exam. Okay, so this is going to be an extremely important map for you. Okay, you can download this PDF from the description of this YouTube video. Okay, so like we will upload this PDF in the description of the YouTube video and you can download it from there. Now with this, let us quickly move to the first topic for today. And this topic is very important topic. What is the name of the topic? It says, for India's homeless women, TB care is shaped by gender norms and economic precarity. Okay, so we are going to discuss about tuberculosis. We are going to discuss what is tuberculosis and how women find it difficult to get them treated, to get themselves treated. So we are going to discuss about it. So let me quickly write down some important points related to TB care in India. So this is going to be the topic number 1. Okay. Name of this topic is for India's homeless women. TB care is shaped by gender norms. And economic precarity. All right. So now let us discuss about this particular topic. So when we talk about TB, TB is a short form for a disease which is known as tuberculosis. Tuberculosis. So tuberculosis actually affects generally TB is of 2 types. One is known as pulmonary TB and other is known as extrapulmonary TB. Okay, so like we have TB of 2 types. Pulmonary tuberculosis and second is extrapulmonary tuberculosis. So what happens in pulmonary TB? It affects the lungs of a person, right? So TB can affect a male, it can affect a female, it can affect a person of any gender. But in this article basically they are discussing about that how TB affects homeless women. Means like there are women who are homeless and how, let's say if they are affected by TB, do they get proper care or not? And if they want to get themselves treated, like what difficulty do they face? Number 1, for homeless women, they are also, let's say, moneyless. I mean, like, they do not have financial resources to get themselves treated. So in that case, they will languish in the government hospitals, right? So in India, across India, there are, let's say, hospitals at the district level, right? There are hospitals at the state level, and like we have All India Institute for Medical Sciences as well. But the thing is, if there is a single woman, for her, I mean, like she may not be knowing which hospital to go, how to get the receipt, how to get themselves treated. I mean, like, for a patient to get treated, they should have at least 1 to 2 person who can assist them to get the treatment done for them. and also it requires huge amount of financial support for them. And Government of India has been actually trying to come up with TB care. And if we talk about the year of 2022, in 2022, India has recorded the largest number of TB cases in the world. So, largest number of TB cases was recorded in India in 2022. And Government of India has been running various campaigns, various, let's say, various campaigns to help TB patients. Generally, let's say a person who has access to good, let's say, nutrition sources, so that person is less affected by TB. If nutrition sources are not available properly, in that case, it may affect that particular person, right? Because like lack of nutrition also aggravates the situation. It, let's say, makes the situation worse. And in this article, basically, they have talked about two stories. One story belongs to Reshma, a homeless woman, and like who is trying to get herself treated, right? Because she has TB. But the thing is, question is, like, the TB care in India is shaped by gender norms. What do we mean by gender norms? What is the role of gender norms here? So basically, author is saying that what happens if there is a woman, right? She is married, and if she, let's say, coughs or something, if she wants to get herself diagnosed, in that case, her male counterpart plays a very important role. If male counterpart says that, like, this is nothing to worry, right? So in that case, the male counterpart generally says that you don't have to go to get yourself diagnosed. So the women remains at home. They do not go to the hospital to get themselves diagnosed. If diagnosis does not happen, if screening does not happen, so in that case they will not be knowing that they are affected by TB. If they don't know that they are affected by TB, although if it is, let's say, pre-TB condition, still, let's say, like, TB is languishing, TB is there inside the body, and like, that women will get affected over a course of time, and like, it aggravates their physical or health conditions. So in this article, they say that, like, TB care is affected by gender norms. Why? Because screening is, let's say, like, at the mercy of the male counterpart at the house. Because if male counterpart says that you go or you don't go, this is what is accepted by females generally in, let's say, rural areas, and in those households where, let's say, like, household income is really low. That is the thing. And apart from this, like, for treatment of TB, there are multiple regimens that are available. What do we mean by multiple regimens? One of the regimen is related to 6 month, let's say, like, regular intake of medicine to get themselves treated. So like for 6 months continuously, a woman has to take, or let's say a person who is affected by TB has to take medicine on a regular basis. Number one, it also depends on whether, let's say, medicine is available at the home or not. If it is not available, they have to purchase it from the market. But the thing is, purchasing also requires huge amount of out-of-pocket expenditure. So because of lack of financial resources, many a times, even after diagnosis, even after a patient gets to know that they are affected by TB, but they will not be in a situation to purchase the drug, to purchase the medicine from the market. Okay, that affects their treatment plan. Apart from this, even if they get access to the medicine, are they taking the medicine on a regular basis? That depends on, let's say, like, regularity or the thought process that they have to take the medicine on a regular basis. Okay, so here these are the things, let's say, like, that are discussed in this particular article. And in this article, authors have also discussed about some of the let's say, like, some of these initiatives related to access to nutrition. One of the initiative is known as India's Nikshay Poshan Yojana. Okay, so what is Nikshay Poshan Yojana? Basically, it is a government of India scheme to provide nutritional services to patients, to people. So under this scheme, like, it promises a monthly cash incentive of 500 rupees through direct benefit transfer, and this was integrated in 2018 in the national TB program. Okay, so if there is a patient who is affected by tuberculosis, who is affected by TB, in that case, under the Nikshay Poshan Yojana, under the Nikshay Poshan scheme, the government of India will transfer, let's say, will directly transfer 500 rupees, let's say, monthly, right, in the bank account of the beneficiary. And India launched another mission which is known as National Nutrition Support Program in 2020. It was named as Nikshay Mitra. It offers food basket worth 700 rupees. Okay, so like these are two programs that are being run by the government of India to provide nutritional facilities to those women who are affected by tuberculosis. Okay, so here what you need to understand that, like, government of India does have, like, we do have healthcare infrastructure across the country, right? We do have multiple healthcare infrastructure across the country, but at the same time, right, at the same time, like, nutritional facilities are also needed by patients, because like it has been noticed through various research and studies that, like, those patients who have lack of nutritional support, right, those patients who have lack of nutritional support, so they face more difficulty because of TB, because, like, TB affects them more. So we do have two schemes. I am going to write down name of these schemes. One is Nikshay Poshan Yojana, another is Nikshay Mitra. Okay, Nikshay Poshan Yojana. Poshan Yojana. So this Nikshay Poshan Yojana has been integrated by the government in the year of 2018. Apart from this, there is another mission which is known as Nikshay Mitra. Nikshay Mitra. So this has been announced in the year of 2022. So under Nikshay Mitra, they will have they will give food support, nutritional support to the patient worth rupees 700. And in case of Nikshay Mitra, Nikshay Poshan Yojana, they will give food support to the patient worth rupees 500. Okay, so this is the thing, and this is a DBT scheme. DBT means direct benefit transfer. Okay, direct benefit transfer scheme. So these are the schemes that we need to remember. Their names are important. You need to learn about what is TB, and in fact in Delhi there is a hospital, and name of that hospital is known as TB hospital. Its name is itself TB hospital. Here lot of TB patients are treated every day. Okay, so this is the thing. So with this, now let us move to another article. We will move to the next article. So this is going to be article number let's say 2 for us. It says a bold step towards cervical cancer free future. Okay, so in this article basically they have discussed about cervical cancer, and today is, let's say, like International Women's Day. It is 8th of March is considered to be Women's Day. So on this Women's Day there are many articles that, let's say, like relate to women, their livelihood, let's say the kind of difficulties that they are facing. We are talking about women empowerment on this day, right? So good morning Vidya, thank you so much for joining. So this is going to be topic number 2. So in this article we are going to discuss about, let's say, a program which is related to cervical cancer. It says a bold step towards a cervical cancer free future. This article is again very important, because in this article we are going to understand about what is cervical cancer, how cervical cancer affects women, and what are the treatment plans that are available, what programs and schemes are available in India and across the world. We are going to discuss about all of it. So the thing is, like, today we are observing International Women's Day. Okay, so 8th of March is celebrated as, right, 8th of March is celebrated as the International Women's Day. International Women's Day. And so on this day basically they are talking about cervical cancer. Okay, cervical cancer. So what is cervical cancer? Basically cervical cancer affects a women, right? And cervical cancer happens because of a virus, and this is known as human papilloma virus. What is the name of the virus? It is known as human papilloma virus. In short, it is known as HPV, human papilloma virus. And now, how does human papilloma virus, let's say, transmits to women? It may transmit through sexual contact, okay? It may transmit through sexual contact or sexual intercourse. That's the thing. So human papilloma virus is something that is treatable. It's not the case that like if a woman is affected by cervical cancer, that she cannot get treated. There are treatment regimes, treatment plans that are available. And what kind of treatment plans are available? Basically one thing is like, let's say like, a kind of treatment that involves vaccination. So vaccines are given to those people who are healthy. Means if there is a person who is healthy, if you give vaccine to that person, so that person develops antibodies in the body. So that person develops the capacity or immunity against that kind of virus. So like one of the important let's say one of the important healthcare intervention is vaccination. Okay, vaccination. So related to vaccination, actually like in India we have immunization program, national immunization program. Under this, Government of India is thinking of immunizing people under that vaccination program itself. And globally, there is World Health Organization, right? World Health Organization has launched a strategy which is known as 90-70-90, right? Targets. What? 90-70-90 targets. What do you mean by this 90-70-90 targets? Basically, these talks about, let's say, like screening must be done globally. If there are women, let's consider, globally, 90% of the women must be screened. Screen means like they should be checked whether they have human papilloma virus or not. Means like a screening must be done. And after screening, those people who have been diagnosed, right, who have been diagnosed with this thing. So here in this article, what they say that for 90% of the girls to be fully vaccinated with HPV vaccine by the age of 15. So first 90% here, that those girls who are below the age, who are less than the age of 15 years, right, they should be fully vaccinated. Number one is this thing, they should be fully vaccinated. And the 70% over here, it says 70% of the women to undergo cervical cancer screening test by age of 35 and 45. Okay, 70% of women must go who are less who are between the age range, right, of 35 years, right. At 35 years once they should be screened, at 45 years they should be screened, right. So they should be screened. Screen means like they should be checked whether they have any kind of HPV, human papilloma virus. Apart from this, the last 90%, it says the 90% of the women with cervical cancer should be treated. Okay, so 90% of women, like women with cervical cancer, must be treated, right? Must be treated. This is the thing. So 90% of the girls who are below the age of 15 years, they should be fully vaccinated by human papilloma virus, so that like in their lifetime they do not get affected because of human papilloma virus, because vaccination will help them to develop antibody, right, to develop immunity against this particular virus. And then 70% of women must get, let's say like must get screened before the age of 35 years, and once they attain the age of 45 years, they should be screened once again. And out of screening, out of all the women who have been, let's say, diagnosed with cervical cancer, 90% of those women should be treated. So this is, let's say, WHO, World Health Organization's 90-70-90 target, and this is related to human papilloma virus intervention. And in India also, what has happened, the government of India has also announced that they are going to come up with, let's say, proper treatment plans, right, proper vaccination programs related to human papilloma virus. So in this article, basically they have discussed this particular factor. Here they say that the push for human papilloma virus vaccination, the push for human papilloma virus vaccination for girls in the 2024-25 interim budget marks a new era in the women's health in India. So basically the Finance Minister of India, Nirmala Sitharaman, has said, right, she has said that the government will try to vaccinate people, right, it is going to vaccinate women, right, against human papilloma virus. So it is a kind of good intervention that the government is doing in this regard. So in that article, basically they have given some examples of other countries like Rwanda, some African countries they have mentioned, so you can read it from the newspaper itself. Now we have another article. This article says the determination in more women in the job market. Okay. This is topic number 3 for us for the day. In this article, we are going to discuss about, let's say, determinant of women in the job market. The determinant of women in the job market. Now let us understand once again, today is 8th of March. It is being celebrated as International Women's Day. And on this International Women's Day, basically, like, we are going to understand about what determines the participation of women in the job market. Means like how, what is the status of women participation in the job market. So basically in this article, the author has discussed about that, like, there are key factors of patriarchy. What? The author has discussed about key factors of patriarchy in our society, right? Key factors of patriarchy in our society. So what are the key factors of patriarchy? Number 1, women are considered to be homemakers. Okay, women are considered to be homemakers in India. So since they are considered as homemakers in India, so they are involved in doing household work, household chores. Not only they are doing household work, they are also taking care of the children at the home, they are taking care of the elderly at the home. So they are caregivers also, and at the same time they take care of the household work. But all of these work that they are doing, it is unpaid. What? It is, this work is unpaid, right? Second factor is like there is no appraisal for them. Appraisal means there is no promotion, or so no appraisal, no pension. Okay, so here it has no appraisal, it has no pension. So these are the factors that the author has discussed in this article. So here author says that women are caregivers, right? Women are homemakers, plus they are caregivers in our society, and their work is not accounted. So there is no statistical data, no statistical data for their, let's say, participation in the home. So like it is considered largely to be unpaid. No appraisal means like no promotion happens, no pension is given to the women. So these are the factors that determines their, let's say, role as homemakers in this society. Apart from this, in this article they have talked about another factor, that those women who are in working, right, women in workplace, what happens? Those women who are working in the workplace, basically like they are going to the workplace, they are earning, but they are earning at the cost of domestic help. What? They are earning at the cost of domestic help. What do we mean by domestic help? Means those women who are themselves working, so they will employ one or other domestic help in their home. And these people who are working in their home as domestic help, these people do not get, let's say, pension. These people do not get, let's say, like appraisal. They are not working in the formal sector. And the condition of domestic help in India is not good. Okay, so in this article they have discussed about this also. Apart from this, here they have talked about that, like, women have greater participation, but also it leads to greater exploitation of women. So like author has discussed that, like, we should address the issue of what? Subordination. So if we want not only women participation but also greater equality in labor market, households have to provide equal opportunities to men and women within the household by sharing inferior work or unpaid domestic work. So here author says that inferior work or unpaid domestic work must not only be done by the women, it should be done by the men also. So like they should share the let's say like household work among themselves. This is the thing. So these are some of the key factors of patriarchy in our society that actually affects women's participation in the workforce. So here in this article, author says that India raising the participation rate of women, of well-educated women in the labor market could also lead to a huge army of exploited domestic workers. Okay, so like here author is talking about that domestic workers must not be exploited much, and at the same time they say that like man should also participate in unpaid work, okay, at home. So with this we have another article. This article is related to the first topic that we discussed, right? So it says a slippery slope. So today we discussed about Jim Corbett National Park. So where is Jim Corbett National Park located? It is located in the state of Uttarakhand. And why we are talking about Jim Corbett National Park? Because 6,000 trees have been felled, 6,000 trees have been cut, and it has been cut in a collusion, in a nexus between a politician and the forest officials, right, in that state. So this has caused damage to the ecosystem of the national park. And Supreme Court of India has rightly taken cognizance of this particular matter. Supreme Court of India has given directions to the Union Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. So that is known as the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, to form a high-level committee. So the Ministry of Environment is going to form a high-level committee, and this high-level committee will look into the aspect of let's say like the safaris or tiger safaris in national parks in the country, and they will come up with clear-cut guidelines in this aspect. And apart from this, Supreme Court of India has also directed that these people who were involved in the nexus to fell or to cut so many trees, the compensation for these trees must be, let's say like taken from these two persons personally. I mean like amount must be recovered from these two persons personally. So this is what the Supreme Court of India has said. So there was a 3-judge bench in this particular case, which is led by Justice B.R. Gawai. So he is from the Supreme Court of India, and he observed that the presence of tigers in the forest is an indicator of the well-being of the ecosystem. Unless steps are taken for the protection of tigers, the ecosystem which revolves around the tigers cannot be protected. Events like illegal construction, illicit felling of trees, like the one in the Corbett, cannot be ignored. So this is what the Supreme Court judge has noticed, right, has written in his judgment. So here this article rightly talks about that conservation efforts should be taken wholeheartedly, in the sense that like we should protect the trees as well, we should protect the animals also in the national parks. And availability of trees in a national park talks about the healthy, like how healthy the ecosystem is. Like more number of trees, if more number of trees are available, it means more number of tigers can thrive. More number of tigers, because like more number of prey they will find in the national park or tiger reserve. So here author says that tourism in wildlife park should not be at odds with the conservation efforts. Okay, so if you are doing tourism activity in national parks or tiger reserves, so it should not be at odds with the conservation efforts. So conservation effort should go hand in hand, and tourism should support the conservation effort. How? Because tourists pay money over there. And not only this, like awareness generation must happen, right, in the national parks and tiger reserves in this regard. So with this, now let us move to another article. Okay, so we are going to go to another article. So this is another article that we are going to discuss. It says fall and rise in women's work participation. This is again another article related to women, and this is important. Okay, this article is equally important. So it says the fall and rise in women's work participation. So in this article we are going to discuss that how women's work participation falls and rises. So basically in this article they have discussed about two important things. One is, let's say, report from the National Sample Survey, and apart from this they have discussed about periodic labor force surveys, right? So here they have said that the work participation rate for women who are aged 15 years and above fluctuated around 42% between 1993, 94 and 2004-5. Declined to 28% in 2011-12 and plummeted to 22% in 2017-18. From 2017, it miraculously surged and reached 36%. So these are the data related to women's participation at workplace. Okay, what are the data? Initially they say that initially it was 42%, that it has gone to 28%, it has then declined to 22%, and then now it has surged to 36%. So women's participation has been let's say fluctuating up and down. And in this article they have discussed about a Nobel Prize that was awarded to Claudia Goldin. So there was a woman, right, from USA. So she was awarded, her name is Claudia Goldin. So she has recently, let's say, talked about U-shaped curve, where women are displaced from labor market as agricultural workforce moves to industrial employment. Okay, so Claudia Goldin has come up with a research paper, and she has done research of last 200 years, right? She has done research of last 200 years women's participation in workplace in US. Okay, so basically in this article we are going to discuss about it. So she has said, she has talked about a U-shaped curve. Okay, so let us quickly understand about what do we mean by that U-shaped curve. Okay, so I'm going to write down this as topic number 4. Okay, so what is this topic all about? It says the fall and rise in women's work participation. The fall and rise in women's work participation. So here basically we are talking about Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences, and Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences of this year, right? Nobel Prize. This is also known as Sorajis Risk Bank Prizes on Economic Sciences. This is not a true Nobel Prize, however it is considered to be equivalent to that because it is given by the same academy. Nobel Prize like in economic sciences, right? Economic sciences. It has been awarded to Claudia Goldin. Okay, Claudia Goldin. So what she has done, basically she has studied history of 200 years of women's participation in workforce in the United States of America. So she has come up with a graph, and this graph is known as U-shaped curve. U-shaped curve. So this talks about, let's say, women's participation in USA. So initially what had happened, initially when the economy was agrarian, right, when the economy was agrarian, we had high women's participation. So in case of agrarian economy, we had high women's participation in work. Okay, high women's participation in work. But what has happened? Later on this, the economy has gone to manufacturing. I mean the sector has become manufacturing. So what happens in manufacturing? Basically in manufacturing, the work requires rigorous, let's say, physical activity, rigorous physical work, and women have to go to the industries, they have to work, they have to come back to home. So it was little difficult. So when from agrarian the economy shifted to manufacturing, right? So manufacturing led to, let's say, less number of women. So women participation decreased. Okay, so here we can write down women's participation decreased. Okay, women's participation decreased when the structure of the economy shifted from agrarian to manufacturing. Again, when the structure of the economy shifted, let's say to when it shifted to service sector, I mean when service sector also assumed prominence. So in the service sector, again women's participation has gone up. Okay, women's participation has increased, right? Women's participation increased. So this is known as U-shaped curve of Claudia Goldin, right, the Nobel Prize winner. And she has also remarked many things related to women's participation at workplace, okay. So like she has talked about that why women sacrifice their work participation, because like they have to take a decision whether they want to invest time in their family or they want to go to the workplace. So like there is a kind of like decision making that happens, and like most of the women prefer to stay at workplace because they have to give time to their children, to caregiving activities and to take care of the household. So they stay back at home, and finally so their participation goes down. And with shifting in the kind of industries, initially agrarian, more number of women participated. When the structure of the economy moved to manufacturing, participation of women decreased. When like in the economy, let's say like like role of service sector increased, so women's participation also increased. So this is known as U-shaped curve, okay. So in this article they have discussed about it, they have given multiple figures related to this. So what you need to do, you need to read this article once again. It says, instead of debating the cause of fall and rise, okay. So it says, instead of debating the fall and rise in the proportion of women, farmers and family helpers, we should look to expand women's opportunities outside the agriculture, which are better paying. So as of now, what government is doing, government is, let's say like checking the rise and fall of proportion of women in the farming activity and family help. So here author suggests that we should look for avenues, other places where women can participate in workplace, because that will give them more revenues. So that will help them to generate more income, okay, and to be more independent. Now we have another article. This is just a short article. We are going to discuss it from the viewpoint of the prelims exam. So it says, inflation likely stayed over 5% in February too, okay. So Bank of Baroda, okay, Bank of Baroda comes up with a kind of data which is known as this is essential commodities index, okay. So prices of about half of 20 items tracked by the bank's essential commodities index, okay. So in this essential commodities index, basically they have noticed that the inflation rate has been around 5%, okay. It has stayed at 5%. So in this article, basically like what the Bank of Baroda has said, so this is mentioned. So it says prices of half of the 20 items tracked by bank's essential commodities index saw momentum building up in February. So sequentially prices rose for 16 of the 20 commodities in the index. So they are talking about that like two types of index. One is known as the consumer price index and second is essential commodities index, okay. Essential commodities index means like there are many goods that are essentially consumed by households. So they can be for example the milk products or dairy products can be one of the essential items, and there can be many such essential items. So they track like what is the increase in price of the essential commodities, okay. So this is through this, and apart from this, the consumer price index talks about that they are at the consumer level, right, what is the fluctuation in the price of goods, right, and services. So when consumers have to pay more for the same goods, right, so it is known as inflation. So in February also what has happened, the inflation has stayed over. So inflation was over what, 5%, okay. So this is what is said in this article. So what is inflation? Basically inflation is general rise in the prices of goods and services. So when you have to pay more price, when you have to pay more money to purchase the same goods and services, that is inflation. Means that purchasing capacity, purchasing power of the currency has gone down, okay. So you have to give more money, more currency to purchase the same goods. That is known as like inflation. So with this, let us now talk about another very important article. This article is related to democracy, how democracy can be saved in India. So it says Supreme Court to consider contempt plea against State Bank of India. Why? Because let's say it is related to electoral bonds. So electoral bonds scheme was announced by the Union government in 2018, and after electoral bonds was announced by the union government, right? So electoral bonds has given a way for those people who wanted to donate to the political parties. So their identities were kept, let's say, like secret. So anyone can unanimously donate to political parties, right? But the donation process itself was little transparent. I mean, like, although the data was not shared with the public, but they have to donate to political parties through a mechanism that was established by the electoral bonds scheme. They had to go to the State Bank of India to purchase electoral bonds. They have to share their KYC details, and those electoral bonds can be encashed by the political parties. However, recently the Supreme Court of India has heard cases related to electoral bonds. The cases have been filed by Common Cause, Association for Democratic Reforms, and CPIM. So it's a political party, okay, Communist Party of India, Marxist. So they have filed cases in the Supreme Court of India that like electoral bonds are misused, right? And like, you know, political parties are unduly receiving money, huge amount of money, and this is meddling with the democratic process in the country, because like a party that has more access to money will be able to lure more voters, they'll be able to garner more votes, okay? So this has created an uneven playing field like in India. And not only this, let's say, like, you know, right to know, or like, you know, right to information of the right to information of Indian citizens was also curbed because of electoral bonds scheme. So Supreme Court of India has found it to be unconstitutional and invalid. So Supreme Court of India has invalidated this scheme, and then Supreme Court of India has directed the State Bank of India to share the data of electoral bonds that were purchased by people, and how much of these bonds were, let's say, like, you know, were received by political parties. So Supreme Court of India had given a deadline to the State Bank of India, and that deadline was March 6, that by March 6 the State Bank of India must furnish the data to the Election Commission of India, and on 11th March the Election Commission of India will make the data public on its website. But what has happened, the State Bank of India approached just 2 days before 6th March, on 4th of March they have approached the Supreme Court, and they have said that they need more time. So they need time till 10th of June. However, like, people have found this to be contrary to the directions that were given by the Supreme Court of India. And like, you know, people from the Association for Democratic Reforms and Common Cause, they have reached to the Supreme Court of India and said that contempt notice or contempt should be issued against the chairman of the State Bank of India. And the Supreme Court of India judge, Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud, has accepted this. D.Y. Chandrachud has said, yes, we will issue contempt. You write an application, send that application to the registry on 11th of March, and I am going to issue directions, okay? So now there will be contempt petitions. There will be contempt against the chairman of the State Bank of India. Why contempt? Because Supreme Court of India has found that, like, you know, unduly the State Bank of India is delaying this process, and it is delaying it so much that like, you know, after election it wants to give those details, okay? So this is not taken, let's say, positively by the Supreme Court of India. So this is the thing, okay? So with this we have another article, very short article. It says Kerala comes up with long short-term measures to prevent man-animal conflict, okay? So the state of Kerala has witnessed huge number of man-animal conflict time and again. Why they have witnessed man-animal conflict? It is because, let's say, like, you know, the state of Kerala is highly forested, and the width of the state of Kerala is about 70 kilometers, and they have a huge population density. And not only this, let's say there are like, it is highly forested, it is located in the Western Ghats. So like, it is, let's say, like, ecologically it is, this region is protected through multiple, let's say, like, you know, government notifications. So huge number of animals are there, huge number of people are there, and many a times man-animal conflict has happened where, let's say, like, elephants come out of the forested region, they, let's say, stampede, or let's say, like, you know, they run over people, and huge number of people have been killed in the past. There have been protests also related to this, that man-animal conflict must be reduced. So now this article talks about some measures that Kerala government has come up with. So these measures talk about, let's say, like, you know, long-term and short-term measures, how to curb man-animal conflict in the state of Kerala. So it says a smart elephant fence among the long-term measures proposed by the Kerala government to prevent meandering wild elephants from reaching human habitations and reduce the instances of man-animal conflict in Wayanad. Okay, so Wayanad is one of the district in the state of Kerala. Okay, it's a constituency also. And it says the removal of undergrowth in private estates like that. I mean, like, they have come up with short-term and long-term measures to reduce the man-animal conflict, especially, let's say, man-elephant conflict. And like there are other, let's say, other animals also. But apart from this, they have, let's say, come up with further measures related to this. So we just need to know about it. But this topic becomes very important for the UPSC mains exam. Why? Because in UPSC mains exam, they may ask a question related to what is man-animal conflict. Suggest measures to reduce the man-animal conflict, right? So these type of questions can be there. So what you need to do, you need to think about those aspects, right, that can reduce the man-animal conflict. One of the aspect is mentioned that a smart elephant fence can be there. And in the forested region, they can plant those trees, they can plant those things, vegetations that are eaten by the animals, right? So that like they do not wander outside the forest, they do not come outside the forest. So these are the things, right? Apart from this, we have another article, very short article for the prelims exam. It says, Center to rope in ISRO to provide internet in 80 remote tribal villages, okay? ISRO stands for Indian Space Research Organization. And so from the central government, the tribal ministry, okay, tribal affairs ministry, it is planning to collaborate, the tribal affairs ministry is planning to collaborate with the Indian Space Research Organization to deploy VSAT. What is VSAT? VSAT stands for Very Small Aperture Terminal. So VSATs are virtual stations, right? So these will be like deployed in the tribal regions in the like in the country. Why it will be deployed? So that internet access can be provided to the villages, okay? So like they are going to cover up about 80 tribal villages in various states that include Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Maharashtra to bring internet services, okay? This is the thing. So here the ISRO is working on it. So ISRO is going to, let's say, help the government to provide internet connectivity. Apart from this, the central government has also thought of coming up with various projects in collaboration with ISRO. And they are also making proposals, let's say proposal for projects with other eminent institutions. For example, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Indian Institute of Technology, Indian Institute of Management, and Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, etc. Okay, so like now this particular collaboration is going to help the tribal people, right, to get access to internet services. So that was all in today's discussion. Thank you so much everyone for joining today's session. Aman Health Club, Aman has joined, and thank you everyone else for joining today's session. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you. And you can also go through these PDFs, right? You can download the handwritten note also. You can download the PDF from the description of the YouTube video, and you can go through these articles whenever you want. Okay. So that will be all from my side for the day. Thank you so much for joining today's session. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.